What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rams Brothers. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother and the other great host of this show, Nick. And Nick, the Rams just got dismantled in Arizona to the Arizona Cardinals, the first time they've lost in Arizona since 2014. But first and most importantly, how are you, my good brother?
I'm all right. Dismantled, disgruntled, employee, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, dog walked. All the bad D adjectives happened to us today. It was not fun.
The most lopsided loss in Sean McVay's history as the Rams' head coach. Was that what you were expecting today? Yeah, it's true.
Wow. I would have thought it was the Cowboys game last year, but I guess this was worse. In division, in Arizona, I felt like I was watching the St. Louis Rams play peak Russell Wilson in like 2013. It was horrible. That was disgusting.
Yeah, it did. You go all the way back to that 2014 game. Austin Davis was the quarterback. Jared Cook was the leading receptions getter. TJ McDonald was the leading in tackles. Aaron Donald was a rookie. Like have to go all the way back to go back to a time where the Rams lost in Arizona. And I think this one was just not expected, right? And like you expected a really tough game against a team that has improved year over year. They got a head coach that's been there now for 19 games in total. He had lost 40 combined points to Sean McVay in his first couple of games against the Rams. And now things are different, right? The Rams are all banged up in terms of injuries. Cooper Kupp had to leave the game due to an ankle injury. We got this update right after the first half had ended that Kupp was doubtful to return. So, I mean, like this combined with all of the other injuries that are on the field, you saw what was going on with Warren McClendon. And obviously we're getting Alec Jackson back next week against the San Francisco 49ers. But that wasn't the main issue in this game, right? The main issue was stopping the run. Yeah. And it didn't seem like the Rams are capable of doing that now in 2 weeks, just in the first 2 weeks of the season. So difficult.
Yeah, just to start the game, you have that, Blake Corum's back there, and you're actually feeling really good that they switched it up and you're going to give the ball in Blake's hands. A great start, gets them out to the 50. And then they spot that almost first down short, and it's like, well, I would like to see that measured. And then, immediately they run that play to Demarcus Robinson. The ball's not caught. And then from there, nothing good happened.
No.
That's all you had to celebrate in that Rams game. They called that Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown really early. I didn't think that was going to be ruled a touchdown at all. It didn't seem like he had possession of the ball. I didn't even know if both feet were in at the right time. But all this stuff just piles on, and all of a sudden you're down 21-0. And you're like, okay, on the next week.
Yeah, we're on to San Francisco, right? I mean, like that's the only thing that really you could talk about in this one is like, How do you figure out a way to better stop the run because you're going against an improved offensive line next week in the San Francisco 49ers and Jordan Mason. You're not going to get Christian McCaffrey, but they're going to try to run the ball down your throat. They're going to try to exploit the secondary in the same way that the what's it called?
Cardinals did.
But the Cardinals did in this game, right? But that's what's so difficult. It's like the run defense has to be able to get off blocks. The secondary has to be able to communicate with one another. And if you're not getting any of these still shots from last week where Marvin Harrison Jr. is wide open, you're getting 2 feet in the end zone. You're getting 3 touchdowns or whatever it was, 2 touchdowns and 3 completions and 130 yards. So it's just that's what was really difficult to handle. And Aaron Donald even checked in. He was just like, wow. What the hell is going on with this team?
Did not know he tweeted that.
Oof. Yeah, he had his kids watching the game too. So, he tweeted a picture. I think it was Erica Donald who tweeted a picture of one of Aaron Donald's sons watching the game in an Aaron Donald jersey. And then Aaron Donald checks in and says, wow, what's going on here? This didn't happen when I was here.
No, that's, one of the things I texted you and our dad during the game was like the boogeyman for Kyler Murray was always Aaron Donald. He was always the one getting to him. He had none of those hitting the legs tackles. He'd wrap him up because that's kind of the only thing. Like you got to wrap him up, and the boogeyman is gone. He is now able to do what he's so good at, which is just backyard football plays, scramble until something happens, and that's what killed us today. And it was as somebody who has 13-2 up until this point under Sean McVay against the Arizona Cardinals, you just expect that not to happen anymore, against your team. And to watch it unfold time and time again was heartbreaking.
I counted 6 plays where Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, and I think even Byron Young, maybe even Kobe Turner was in the mix in terms of like diving at Kyler Murray, missing a sack, missing an opportunity for a negative play. And those are like the plays that you took for granted when you had Aaron Donald on your roster.
Yeah.
It was like, this is the greatest of all time. He's able to get down this extremely elusive quarterback. He's able to extend plays with his legs. He's able to make plays down the field. But when you're able to tackle him in the backfield and get a sack and a negative play, puts the other team in an awkward down and distance. And, none of that happened today, which made the game so much more difficult. And Jordan actually checked in because she had a conversation with Chris Shula earlier this week, particularly after the run D in overtime against the Lions, about Arizona's ability to run from different personnels and attack points and play keep away with their possessions. And his answer was below in terms of what the Rams were planning to do against the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals in this game had the ball for 33 minutes and 12 seconds to the Rams' 17 minutes and 46 seconds. They only punted 1 time in 8 possessions. So this is the quote from Chris Shula. They can run it a bunch of different ways. The Cardinals do, where they can get 11 personnel and spread you out and run it, or they can get in bigger personnels, which they did. They got in 12 and 13 personnel with a lot of tight ends and run it that way. It's going to be a great challenge. We have to be ready. We have to be sound and fitting the run. We have to be ready to hit blocks, and we have to be able to get off blocks. And it all really starts with simple fundamentals of that. And it didn't seem like there was any preparation because they couldn't get off blocks. They couldn't clog gaps. They were so inefficient in terms of being able to stop the run. And now you're seeing this start to become a trend week over week. So you think that there's some concern up front. You could chalk it up to, a really young defensive line that's still trying to learn what Chris Shula likes to do. You could chalk it up to, you're missing the greatest player of all time. But, I think the combination of those things are starting to, rear their ugly heads. And you're finding yourself in a spot that's going to be really difficult to overcome now that you're going to host San Francisco in your home opener the following week.
You really have to be able to step up when you lose all these guys early in the season. We saw it today with no excuses in Green Bay. They had a quarterback in Malik Willis who
never threw for 100 yards in a single game and goes out and gets a win.
Yeah, gets a win. Losing Kupp mid-game, brutal. I'm glad they didn't try to, bring him back out there because that would have been horrible. But all those injuries, it's just going to hurt. It's going to pile up. And now you're facing San Francisco next week, who were even without Christian McCaffrey has some of the best run schemes in the entire league. So the defense is going to have to step up. They're going to have to find a way to clog the run lanes early. And hopefully it's easier. But Brock Purdy is able to do that as well. Not to the degree that Kyler Murray can do it, but Brock Purdy can pick up, first downs with his legs. We've seen it happen before.
So the escapability of both guys are quality.
It's also just brutal for the schedule makers. They know, everybody knows that when San Francisco plays us, that stadium is 60-40 on a good day, So that is our home opener is after 2 weeks away. Absolutely brutal. Really
I'm just not ready. I think, I agree. And you could start 0-3 this season, and that's going to be really tough to overcome. But the problem is I'm not ready for remember last year, I think we were 9 games into the season. Everybody was talking about tank for Caleb. People were tweeting me pictures of Travis Hunter in a Rams jersey from Colorado. Shador Sanders is coming up in conversation. It's time to start mock draft season. This is, it's a lot in just a 2-game sample size. I understand where people are coming from, the most lopsided loss in McVay's history, but it's not time to have that conversation quite yet. No. But also, if you guys are feeling that way, I want to hear that in the comments too. Type out what you guys are feeling. Type out if you think Chris Shula isn't up for the job. Type out if you feel like the defense didn't do enough to prepare for this game, if the personnel isn't strong enough up front, if they think, because even in the secondary, Trey White, decent player, obviously, at this point in his career. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit banged up. But you're still missing Darius Williams, right? You still lost Darion Kendrick to an ACL. They weren't as prepared as they originally envisioned. And, you saw it just because there's a lack of communication. Even Ernest Jones being traded away, the Rams were like, we're going to be just fine. To be able to stop the run, you need some of those guys in the second level to be able to creep up and clog the gap. And even from a blitz perspective, to be able to finish the job Ernest Jones is really good at that. So
the Ernest Jones thing reared its ugly head in the worst way possible, because I mean, even if you were going to get rid of him next year, and it's like it's a contract year, next year you can go find somewhere else. Just pay him this year, like at least pay him this year. I mean, if you did that with Stafford, he's only on 1 year. If you want to do like a prove it deal with him too, I think that would have been fine. And now he's gone. I mean, actually, he's been fantastic for Tennessee, who's somehow had this like stout defense amongst everything else. And then I just want to say this, and I know it's Sunday night, and I know it's Detroit, but that moral victory that we kind of felt like we had completely washed away.
No, completely.
Detroit is gone or loses today against the Buccaneers.
Bucks are
so like you're starting to question, is that even that good of a victory?
Oh, sure.
And then third of all, this episode is brought to you by Autograph. Autograph is a fantastic place where you can check out articles, everything, podcasts, by Rams fans, for Rams fans. Use our code to sign up right there. If you're just listening, it's B1B3F930. Check us out on Autograph. But like I was saying,
yeah, make sure to check out too. Like you're going to get a lot of live reactions. You're going to get Sean McVay press conferences. You're going to get other content creators making stuff. Like you might as well check in, get rewarded for it, and sign up for the Autograph app. But Nick, back to your point. I want to hear what
you're starting to worry more about the season going into post 2022 season territory, as opposed to where everybody was banked up and it was right at the Super Bowl and we were bad to start. Especially last year where we were able to kind of rally around having like a young group of players and being able to win these scrappy games. But even in that bad 2021 season, we still beat Arizona in Arizona. So
yeah, what you're talking about 22?
Oh, 22, yeah, 2022 season.
Following year, obviously 21 came away with a ring. But I know what you're talking about.
Lost Arizona at home that year.
It is starting. Yeah, we did. And it's starting to feel a little bit more like 2022 in terms of the way that the injuries are just all over the place, right? They're all over both sides of the ball, and they're at the most crucial positions. You got them in the secondary, you got them up front, you got them at receiver. So it's all stuff that Matthew Stafford needs to be able to succeed. It's all stuff that a young defense needs to be able to succeed. It's veteran leadership. Just look at how lopsided this was. 495 total yards for the Cardinals versus the Rams, 235 total yards. Passing yards, Kyler threw for a perfect passer rating, 258 yards. The first time a Cardinals quarterback had thrown for a perfect passer rating since Kurt Warner in 2008, of course, right? Because that record had to be broken against the Rams. Rushing yards, 237 total rushing yards for the Cardinals to the Rams, 43. Yards per play, 8 to 4.3. Cardinals were dominant in that regard. First downs, 24 first downs. Third down efficiency, 7 of 11. Rams couldn't convert on third down at all. They only had 1 third down conversion out of 9. Fourth down efficiency, they were 0 for 3. They only ran 48 total plays, and they gave up 5 sacks against the Cardinals. Against a team that, remember this stat from last week, Cardinals edge rushers had generated a 3.5% pressure rate last week. A bit different this week.
A shout out to 2 people in the Cardinals that I thought did a fantastic job. Budda Baker, without Puka Nacua there, he is able to just break up every run. And then Gannon, who the Eagles ran out of town. Jonathan Gannon, I thought coached an amazing game. I thought he did a really good job. His defense is what they brought him in there for. And he, coached a great defensive game. It's just really, really, really difficult to having to sit there and watch that. Also, the first non-catchable ball call of the season had to go against us,
Yeah. It was uncatchable.
Yeah, no, it was. It was. But I've seen that multiple times this year.
Yeah.
Not picked up, even though it's an uncatchable ball. It's just funny how it works out.
Well, it's the difference of 24-10 at half versus 24-3. Where it's just a game where you can't overcome the kind of mistakes that you're making. And it's even in moments where you're like, oh, Jared Verse forced a fumble, landed in Trey McBride's hands in the end zone. Braden Fisk recovered a fumble. He had a chance to go run with it, return. He trips and falls over himself. It was you just couldn't get a break in this game.
Yeah. The ball just did not bounce our way. And just double on Dean's behalf, just a double L. Going into me, we're playing each other in fantasy this week. Dean had a 70% win rate. And Marvin Harrison Jr. gets 29 points, and now Dean has a 9% win rate.
Yeah, and also not to mention, I had Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones who both fumbled on the goal line. It was just a day full of losses. See, that's why I got to go out and I got to do other things. I can't just dedicate my entire life to this kind of stuff because it drives me insane.
No, it does. It does. It's also it's a scheduled win for the Rams fans in the world. 13-2. That is an amazing percentage, and you go in this game expecting to have some fun. And not only do you not have fun, it's not a close game. You just don't really get to have anything to watch on Sunday after that is over. I don't care about this Sunday night football.
Where the Bears play.
Yeah, Bears, Texans, like cool. Go Caleb Williams, I guess. But it doesn't matter. It's like I'm not here for that. The Rams lost. And now I have to run errands. And I have to run errands in this outfit looking like a total idiot because I'm not going to change. Create more laundry for myself.
You got to keep supporting. And you got to support Jay. Prominent Kings, who sent you the t-shirt. Nick's arrived. Mine hasn't arrived yet because Jay had to send it all the way across the country, but Nick's in California. So it got to Nick on time. Mine will hopefully be here by tomorrow. But shout out, Jay. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the podcast. We need likes. We need comments. We need subscriptions. We want to hear from you guys as well. Like, tap in. I want to hear what you guys are thinking about this entire roster. I want to hear what you guys are thinking about San Francisco, about the future of this team. Like, we don't have to talk yet about mock draft season. We don't have to talk yet about the next left tackle of the future because we're only in week 2, but still want to hear all of your guys' opinions because it all matters. This is a Rams community, and we want to make sure that we're hearing from you guys, and we listen to all your comments. We read them all. We try to respond to all of them. I'm
already convincing myself that we win against San Francisco. I'm like already there because I don't think this season's going to be over. And also, if you beat San Francisco, then you're 1-1 in the division.
Right.
Seattle doesn't look good. They took the Patriots into overtime.
Well, that's the thing.
San Francisco's also 1-2 at that point.
Right. Well, yeah. If you would have won this week, you would have been 1-1 tied with San Francisco, and Seattle would have been atop of the division at 2-0, and the Cardinals would have been in our spot at 0-2. So. You're totally spot on. It's like, but next week, if you could figure out a way to steal a win, it would be great. Sean McVay's already talking about how he needs to reimagine things. So I would imagine that if Cooper Kupp's healthy, they're going to put up some kind of a fight at home. It's just a team that has had your number. But same thing with the Cardinals. It's the same conversation that we had all week of 13-2 and, 40-point deficits. And, this is the team that has been better over the tenure of Sean McVay's career, and Sean McVay's won the big game. Like, it's all the same kind of conversation.
I really think it's time, too, that the people start maybe taking the Cardinals a little more serious. Overall. It's not Cliff Kingsbury's Cardinals. It's Jonathan Gannon, and they have a stout defense, and they have a fun, scary, intimidating, tiny quarterback that can beat you on the feet or in the air. And with Marvin Harrison Jr., feels like the sky's the limit for this offense, and I just hope that that's not the case, but it feels like it is.
It does. They got a top-quality tight end. They got a top-quality receiver core. They have a decent offensive line, even though they just had an injury this past week. The defense looks really tough. They didn't look as tough last week, but they look even tougher this past week. They got a good scheme. They got a defensive-minded head coach that knows how to scheme up a game from week to week. So they're going to be a tough out, and I don't think we see them again until week 17. So we got plenty of time to get healthy and plenty of time to get some get-back at home against the Cardinals 14 weeks down the line. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. If you guys are panicking, comment. If you guys are optimistic, comment. If you guys are liking what we're putting out, comment. And if you hate it, comment. How can we get better? Tell us.
Yeah. Tell us what we can do to improve your mood. We're just soundboarding off of each other, trying to feel better about wasting our Sunday watching football. Just kidding.
Whatever you guys want. You want to sound off? You want to tell us we suck? Whatever. Just comment. Just
watch it. Just watch.
All right. We appreciate you guys. We will talk to you soon. We'll be previewing the Niners before we know it. And as always, go Rams.
Go Rams, everybody. Signing off.